Okay, let's read. Oops. Yep, this is it. Pierre Bear. In a windswept cabin away up north lived brave Pierre Bear. He lived all by himself. When Pierre wanted a fish supper, he went fishing all alone. He cut a hole in the ice and dropped in his fishing line. Soon he pulled out a big fish. For Pierre was a great fisherman. Pierre went home and cooked his fish. He put the red cloth on the table, and he sat before the fire to eat his fine fish supper. I wish there was someone here to share my supper, thought lonely Pierre Bear. Then Pierre climbed between the soft furs that were his bed. He went to sleep and dreamt a happy dream. He dreamt that he was with a lot of other bears who were laughing and singing and never lonely. Next morning, when Pierre Bear looked in his cupboard, he saw that he needed more food. So he took his big rifle and headed for the wild woods to hunt the terrible moose, the biggest, wildest animal of the north. Pierre walked across the snow until he found the huge tracks of the terrible moose. Then he blew a moose call on his moose calling horn, and a huge, terrible moose came crashing through the woods. His antlers were enormous. His hooves beat like thunder as he charged for Pierre. But the brave little bear was not afraid. He shot him, bang, and the moose fell dead. For Pierre was the bravest hunter of all the north. Pierre took his moose home, and he made moose stew, and moose pie, and moose cake, and 13 jars of minced moose meat. His cupboard was full, and he wished that he had someone to help him eat all that good food. From the moose antlers, he made a big hat rack to hang upon the wall. Pierre hung his hat on one of the antlers. Someone else's hat should hang on the other antler, thought lonely Pierre Bear. Then one day, it came time for Pierre Bear to trade the furs he had hunted all season to the trading post to sell. He piled them on his sled and went on the long journey through the woods. He wore his red hat and his best snowshoes. The trading post was a jolly place, and the traders greeted Pierre merrily. They counted his furs, they weighed the skins, and they gave him many dollars for them. Pierre went to a store to spend his dollars. From a pleasant lady bear, he bought some pans to cook with. Excuse me, I'm trying to read here. I need a guitar to sing to, for I live alone, said Pierre. So he bought a guitar. There's something else I need. Now, what can it be? Said Pierre. If you live all alone, you need company, said the lady bear. She's right, thought Pierre. Hey, shh! Quiet over there from the peanut gallery. I'm reading. So, the very next day, Pierre Bear made the lady bear his wife. He tucked her into his sled with his new guitar and his pots and pans, and away they went over the snow to his cabin. It was very nice to have Mrs. Pierre Bear around the cabin. She hung her bonnet on the new hat rack and it looked so very gay. She cooked a fine supper in the new pots and pans. When Pierre strummed his guitar and sang, Mrs. Pierre giggled and clapped. And so they lived happily all year long. Then one day, spring came to the north. The snow melted and dripped from the windows. Wildflowers bloomed on the roof of the cabin. But best of all, spring brought a little baby bear to Mr. and Mrs. Pierre Bear. He was round and funny and full of fun. And oh, how they loved him. Now Pierre never goes fishing alone, for the baby bear goes with him. The end.